In this video, we're going to be taking a look at my Clone Officer collection for the Clone Wars animated line. So at this point, I have pretty much all of them, I think. At least the named ones, that is. I know for technicality, some people will say, where's the ARC Trooper commanders like Captain Fordo and Commander Colt and Blitz even, and the unofficiated Havoc. I kind of consider those a little out of the realm from these guys. I'm just showing off the basic clones, basically. Originally, I was just going to do Phase 1, but then I went ahead and I only have two of the Phase 2 commanders with Rex and Fox, and the only one I'm missing is Wolf, so I figure I'll just include them in this as well. And this looks like a really good display. There are a couple other clone commanders that are out there that are unnamed even. There's one that came with the Hailfire droid set, which is basically like the turbo tank gunner with a comma, and that's pretty much it. And I think he was just named as like clone commander or something like that. And of course the ARC troopers, and I want to say that's pretty much about it. And then you have all these ones that you see here. For a little while there, it seemed like we were going to get every main clone commander for the animated line. The fact Hasbro made Bly early on, and of course we had Cody and Rex and Gree. For a little while there, or many of us thought that we were going to get all of them, like Neo and Bakara and anyone else we can think of that may have showed up in the show. As the line went on, it seemed to get less and less, and the Phase 2 Rex and Fox that you see in the back there, these two here, those were pretty much the last ones we got. And then there was Wolf as well in his Phase 2 armor, which I don't have that one. I don't think it's really necessary to have that. If you have the TBC one, it's basically the same thing, although it's in this sculpt and it has less articulation. Each of these that haven't got a review as of yet, Rex is the only one on here that's gotten an individual review, but eventually I'll get to the rest as well. And we'll do various displays with each one because they all have lots of action figures that complement them great. So, as far as availability is concerned, lots of these are mainline releases. So Rex, Bly, Cody, I believe Jet as well, Stone, Thyre, Phase 2 Fox, Gree, and Wolf were all mainline releases. Interesting story about Wolf is I recall back in 2011 seeing a whole bunch of them on the pegs at Walmart. In fact, that was about the only Clone Wars action figure they had on the shelf, and at the time I ended up dismissing him, saying, I don't really need him. And I ended up getting Wolf several years later, brand new, which I didn't pay too much for him, maybe about $30 free shipping, which, yes, that's more than what he was going for at the time, but it's not terribly outrageous. Most of these you can find for a decent price if you look in the right places, although there are a few outliers here and there, like Commander Bly there. It's usually more on the expensive side, and I didn't get him until years later either. I never even saw him in retail at the time, and it sounds like a lot of other people unfortunately didn't find him either. But for the availability for the exclusives, so Commander Pons, right there. He was a Toys R Us exclusive, if I recall correctly. And then you have Captain Locke here in the back. He was a Kmart exclusive, which I did get him at Kmart at the time. Sad to see Kmart kind of go away. I think here in the US we're down to 3 more Kmarts. And I think those are going to be here to stay, but I don't think we're going to be any more Kmart exclusive Star Wars action figures anymore. That ship has sailed, unfortunately. But Kmart was always a hidden gem to look for action figures if you're looking for something a little more hard to find and sometimes it can get stuffed in the back, or people wouldn't think about shopping at Kmart. So you can find some gems there. Commander Fox here, the Phase 1 Fox, was a Target exclusive. And I didn't get him until a couple years later either. I only paid like 20 bucks for him brand new. So even to this day, he's still not terribly expensive. So if you're wanting Phase 1 Fox, he's still a fairly affordable option. What else here? I think those are pretty much all the exclusives. And most of them utilize the same exact mold. Whenever I review these individually, it's kind of looking at the same figure over and over again. So as the line progressed, we'll just move some of these off to the side for now. Do Cody and we'll bring Fox here. So pretty much these are the main clone molds that we got throughout the entirety of the Clone Wars line. If you look at the 4 here, we'll just move these off to the side for now. So between Cody and Bly, those were the main 2 molds. Obviously, there's some slight differences between the 2. Like Cody has the antenna there and different helmet and small things like that. But the body is pretty much all the same. And these were super articulated. I mean, they were hinged everywhere except for the hips. So it was a very innovative clone trooper mold at the time. Then as the line progressed, we got here into the stone mold, which seen its fair share of action figures. You have Clone Trooper Draw, and then there's Stone and Goji. Those are some of the main ones that utilize it, and there's other ones here and there as well. It did get a lot of criticism at the time. I recall a lot of people it seemed like they were morally outraged about it. But I always kind of like the Stone mold. I think it has its own character to it. As you can see between Bly and Stone here, they do have some differences. I think the Stone mold looks a little more robust compared to the original mold here, but is a little bit more lacking in the articulation area. It has some more swivels about it, and it has no articulation in the ankles at all, but it's still utilitarian for what it was. You can get them in most poses that you could really ask for. Then we got towards the very end of the line, and they cut back severely on their articulation. And here, between Commander Fox and Captain Rex, the Phase 2 Rex here, and then Wolf, and there may have been a few other figures as well. So basically, they have no knees, no ankles, and no wrist articulation even. Which at the time was pretty disappointing. It was a huge setback. I will say though, despite that, I really do like this Commander Fox, the Phase 2. I did find them at retail at the time, and it was Kohl's. And this was back in 2012. And there was only one on the shelf, and at the time I didn't have Fox at all, so it was a instant want for me. But I think as far as the sculpting work is concerned, even though it's lacking in their articulation, I think it has a pretty good likeness to the animated look. And it might even be more faithful to the animated look than even either of these 2 molds. But I do wish it had a little more articulation about it. At least swivel wrists and hinged knees I would have been happy with, but unfortunately we didn't get that. So when he holds his blasters, that's about the only angle it looks like naturally. Otherwise, you're doing something goofy like that, and then, of course, his legs only do that. But still, if you wanted to keep him as a statue, this fox looks pretty good. Bly here, I didn't get till years later as well, and he might be the hardest one to find of all these. I ended up paying a little bit more than the usual average for a Star Wars action figure, I'll say that. But you can still shop for him, and maybe you can find him for a halfway decent price. I have seen some go brand new for like $40 or $50 here or there on eBay. So something to keep an eye out for if you're interested. Commander Wolf here. There was a lot of criticism with him at the time as well because of that smushed helmet he has. For some reason, his head, and I think it's just because it's sculpted different than the normal Clone Trooper head. That scar looks really nice though. But it just ends up smushing out when you put it on. You might be able to work with it a little bit. Maybe you could put on a different clone head and then get his helmet to work a little better. But he has a really nice detailing in his armor. I'm really impressed with that. I didn't get him until I actually got him around the same time as Commander Bly. So back around 2019, I was on a mission to complete all the clone commanders, or clone officers, I should say. And Commander Jet here was the last one I ended up getting, which may have been, I think it was in 19 or 20 as well. And I ended up paying only like $35 free shipping for him loose, but he was totally complete. He had his card, his stand, and all his accessories. It looks pretty good. Really a fan of that look for Commander Jet. He could be my personal favorite out of all these as well, as far as uniqueness is concerned. Is that special ops armor. And we have Commander Pons here. Interesting story about Pons. So I ended up bidding for him on eBay. And he was brand new in the plastic bubble, but he was out of the main package. And the person I was looking to buy him from, we were going back and forth on eBay, and we kept sending each other best offers, and we kept going down only like 1 penny at a time. It was a very strange arrangement, but after so many bounces back and forth of going 1 penny less each time, we finally made a deal. And we were both kind of resistant to one another, but fortunately it did work out, and I'm glad to have him in the collection. Nothing really too unique about Pons. I mean, he's, at this point, we had so many of the clone commanders, or officers I should say, so he didn't really bring anything new to the table. Well, he does have a really nice color scheme. Too bad we didn't get Captain Keeley in this look. There are some customs of him out there that people made utilizing the Rex figure. But still, Captain Keeley just had a unique look to him where even if you paint Rex with his color schemes, it's still obviously Rex. And I will say, fortunately, up until now, I don't think any of the figures I've had for the Clone Wars have really yellowed. I know Commander Cody here usually yellows really bad, and he's a little off, I will say that. You can notice it more back here, but overall it's not too bad. I've seen some people severely yellow, and I haven't quite got there yet. Hopefully it never does, but we'll see. This Rex here I ended up getting from Tungori. Another interesting story about this Phase 2 Rex is he was one that for the longest time I kept having in hand, and I would even walk around the store with him, and then oftentimes I would just pass him up and say, no, I don't really need him. Then finally, a couple years ago, I finally went ahead and got him. I distinctively recall going to Kohl's back around 2012, pretty sure it was, and I walked around with Rex to the store, and then I decided, no, I won't get him. So this Rex did get re-released again outside of the US, and it's the one that has the articulated knees. I don't have that action figure. It's pretty much the same exact thing as this, just with the extra articulation. Maybe if I see that for a good price someday, I'll get it, but it's not really a priority for me. I think at this point, a lot of the Clone Wars animated action figures are just getting so expensive and harder to find and out of reach that should just be, if you have any for your collection, just be thankful for what you have. And we're probably never going to see any get re-released ever again, unfortunately. Gree here. Gree's always really nice. I'm glad that we did get a Phase 1 Gree in the end. And then we had a definitive look for him as well with that double mohawk, which I thought was kind of odd for Gree at the time. Up until then, we had the 30th anniversary Gree, and he just had the standard Tamora Morrison head underneath. So the Clone Wars kind of cleared up how Gree really looks. And then Commander Fox here, everyone's favorite clone commander. Personally, I don't have a problem with Fox. I mean, when you're the Coruscant Guard, you have to kind of be a little cold-hearted compared to the rest of your clone personnel. And after all, you're assigned to protect the Chancellor directly instead of the Republic, more so. This Fox is a really nice action figure. I suppose if you don't have any of these for your collection and you really want to own at least one or two of them, between Cody and Fox, those are probably the most easily accessible ones to get. Captain Locke back here, kind of an odd release on Hasbro's part, the Kmart exclusive. He's usually not terribly hard to find either, at least last I checked. Who knows, it might be different now. He does have a flesh colored neck though. I know it's kind of hard to see there. A little bit of a mispaint. And of course Thyre, another one of my favorite clones that I own. Ambush might be my favorite episode of the entire Clone Wars. It was nice to see Thyre in action. And thankfully he did get his own individual release as well, which is what this action figure is. If you do notice on him, the plastic is a little bit different throughout. His helmet and his torso. And I think even his arms and his hands are a little bit of a different white compared to his legs. And the crotch there. And some parts of his arms. So it's almost like he utilized recycled plastic. Oh, who else have we not really touched on? I don't think I took Stone's helmet off. It's a very glossy head. Bly's helmet can be a little tricky to get off. Has an interesting hairstyle as well. He has the tattoos on his cheeks. That's another thing about the Clone Wars series is at the beginning there I thought we were going to get a lot more attention on a lot of the main clone commanders from episode 3, because pretty early on that's where we saw there was Cody and then Bly and Gree, so figured we would have seen more of them. And I wish we did get to see them more throughout the series instead of Bly. He only showed up in the 2 or 3 episodes and that was pretty much it. And of course Cody. There's that scar there. Cody here probably is the most affordable clone officer of the bunch here. So if you're only had to narrow it down to one, Cody's the one. And of course Fox would probably be second. And Thayer, I think he's just got a standard head. But he has a little bit grayer hair. The amount of detail Hasbro put in these figures at the time was really impressive as well. Still some of the best figures Hasbro ever made. Who else? I don't think I took Pons' helmet off, did I? It's pretty basic. Who else do we have? So, Locke, Jet, and Phase 2 Fox, Phase 2 Rex, and then the Phase 1 Fox do not have removable helmets. Which is okay. I mean, we never even see Fox without his helmet. Phase 2 Rex definitely needed a removable helmet. Locke and Jet, I don't think it was necessary for them to have a removable helmet. But yeah, I mean, I think that's about all I can really tell you about all these guys. Like I said, I'll do individual reviews at some point too for all of them. So if there's anything I missed in this video, we'll touch up on them again in their individual reviews. But I like to get these out. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a little over a year now at this point. I've always wanted to get the clone commanders and captains and lieutenants together and see how they look. And I think it looks really good. I'm happy to own all these. And I think over, it's been 10 plus years now since any of these have seen a release, and they still hold up really well. Even better than a lot of the modern day offerings Hasbro has. So if I had to rank them from least expensive, most expensive, Cody and Phase 1 Fox, least expensive. Rex is usually pretty affordable. I would say Pons, Gree, Wolf, and Locke and Stone are about mid-tier. Maybe you can find them in the $30 to $40 range. Not the most outrageous, but a little more pricey compared to what you're used to. Maybe even Jet would be a little bit in there as well, maybe in the $40 or $50 range. Then Bly, he could be anywhere between like $50 and $100 even, which is outrageous. But I don't think he got too much of a release at the time, so low supply and high demand. And it's only Phase 1 Bly that we got. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I can tell you. So we'll go ahead and wrap up this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you've made it this far, I greatly appreciate you watching, and stay tuned for plenty more. There will be lots more to come in the future. And if you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate your support there. And if you haven't already, please check out the link in the description. And thanks for watching.